Hello, wonderful people. Today, we're going to talk about how to write a compelling CV. So, if you're new to this channel, you're welcome. If you've been here for some time, thank you for always supporting us. But today, we'll be diving into the do's and don'ts of the various sections when you're writing a CV. That means we're also going to cover the sections of the CV, right? Yeah, we're going to talk about every single thing you need to know to write an award winning CV. You know, a CV is more or less like your image. So if you don't get to actually learn how to do that, then you are missing out on a lot of things. You don't need to pay anyone to write your CV for. You can do it all by yourself, guys. Please make sure that you subscribe to this video and also make sure that you send this video to as many people as you can since it's a very beneficial video. So let's get started already. A modern day CV or resume constitutes a professional document that outlines an individual's qualifications, experiences, and skills to prospective employers or scholarship committees. In the digital era, the review process frequently involves a combination of software, notably applicant tracking system, and human evaluators to assess the numerous CVs submitted by the applicants. Applicant tracking system software is utilized predominantly by employers to streamline and automate recruitment and hiring procedures. Consequently, it is imperative to tailor your CV to correspond with the specific requirements of a particular scholarship or job application, rather than submitting a generic CV for multiple opportunities. ATS software enables recruiters or awarding organizations to analyze your resume or CV against a defined list of keywords. So, if you're wondering how organizations are able to assess different types of CVs all at once and then give you feedback, just know that they usually depend on the applicant tracking system softwares. So, when constructing an effective and compelling CV, it is essential to emphasize transferable skills, leadership qualities, and results that align with the opportunity. For scholarship applications, focus on academic excellence, extracurricular activities, and potential. For employment, highlight professional experiences, achievements, and relevant skills. Ensure meticulous proofreading to eliminate errors. Employ action verbs such as led or developed, and save your documents as a PDF to maintain formatting integrity. We will dive deeper into all these things. So just stick with us. We will get into the differences and then talk about the outlines of the CV or resume. So your question might be, what are the differences between a CV and a resume as of today? The key differences between a CV and a resume as of today are mainly in length, content, purpose, and geographic use. So many videos try to talk about the key differences, but G.W.O, we are going to do our best to give you the detailed differences without leaving anything out. So moving on to length and content. A resume is ideally a one-page document or 2 pages long at most, providing a concise summary of the most relevant skills, work experience, and accomplishments tailored to a specific job. A CV is longer, often spanning 2 or more pages and can be 10 pages or more for seasoned professionals. It provides a comprehensive and detailed account of your full academic, professional, and research history, including publications, awards, and more. So let's talk about the difference between the purpose and use case for both the CV and resume. So for the resume, they are primarily used for job applications in the private and public sector, particularly in the US and Canada. They are customizable and tailored for each job application. CVs These are used mainly for academic research, medical, scientific, or international job applications such as grants, fellowships, and university positions. CVs remain mostly static with updates to add new achievements. Now let's talk about the geographic differences between the CV and the resume. In the US and Canada, the term CV and resume denotes different documents with the above distinctions. In other countries such as the UK, New Zealand, and parts of Europe, CV is often used to mean what Americans call a resume. In regions like South Africa, Australia, and India, the terms may be used interchangeably. So, how to construct a CV? The differences between the CV can depend on the geographic differences. So, if you are in an African country thinking of how to get your CV and in which template you should put your CV in, you might want to consider the standard CV that's accepted in your country. So let's talk about the key principles to remember about the resume because that is where most of the times people mistaken a lot of things. Okay, so recruiters do not spend much time reviewing resumes, and many companies use applicant tracking systems to screen applications. These systems scan resumes for specific keywords. Your resume must be keyword rich, well structured, and concise. Your resume must be strategic and compelling. So let's talk about when you should use a CV. Opt for a CV when applying for academic or research positions, or when you are pursuing grants or fellowships. If you're seeking jobs in countries or fields that expect CVs rather than resumes, needing to show a full professional and educational history, including detailed accomplishments, then you opt for a CV. So, what are the five important things to note when writing a CV or resume? Make it specific to the role. You have to customize your resume with keywords from the job description to pass the ATS filters and show direct relevance, boosting your match rate by up to 75%. You have to start strong. Include a concise personal statement or summary at the top that clearly communicates your value and key qualifications. You also have to focus on impact or achievements. You have to use quantifiable achievements, example, boosted sales 30% and blah blah blah, over duties. Action verbs like led or optimized make your contributions pop in seconds. You also have to keep it concise. Limit to 1 to 2 pages for resumes at most with clear sections, bullet points, and white space. Recruiters scan for 7 to 10 seconds, so you have to prioritize scannability. Proofread. This is very important. You have to proofread. Proofreading will help you eliminate errors, inconsistencies, or fluff. A polished document signals professionalism and attention to detail, setting you apart. So, these are very important things you need to note when you are writing a CV or resume. So, when writing a CV or resume, you have to leave out unnecessary details that make the page cluttered. We'll talk about that. So, you aim for clarity, precision, and balance. Now, we are diving into about 8 sections that your CV should have. The very first section, which is section 1, should have the personal details. By personal details, we mean that you must include your full name, your phone number, professional email address, LinkedIn profile or personal website if applicable, postal address, or city, state, or country. So you can add a portfolio link if relevant. So make sure that you never include personal details like age, marital status, or hobbies unless directly relevant or instruct the company you are applying to. So as you can see on the screen, we have an example there. This is an example of a person named Quinita Yeboah. So you see how everything has been arranged. You see Quinita Yebwa, that's the name, the P.O. box there, that's the address, the email is there, the telephone number, and a link to the person's portfolio. And there's a LinkedIn profile, right? So if you have another profile, maybe you have your personal website or something, you could include it. Moving on to section 2, that is where you actually provide your professional summary or objective. So, what do you actually include in the professional summary? First of all, the professional summary is a 3 to 5 sentence overview at the top, summarizing your career goals, key strengths, and what you bring to the table. For scholarships, you have to focus on academic aspirations. For jobs, you highlight professional fit, include 2 to 3 quantifiable achievements or skills. So, for example, as you can see on the screen, we have a highly motivated and skilled computer science graduate with a GPA of 3.8 and specialized knowledge in Python program and machine learning, demonstrated success in developing artificial intelligence models that enhanced data processing efficiency by 30% in academic projects, currently seeking a software engineering position or scholarship to apply analytical skills towards innovative technological solutions. So this is a professional summary or objective for someone. Okay, so let me just break this down into do's and don'ts. So do keep it concise. It should be under 100 words. Tailor it to the specific job or scholarship. Then you use keywords from the description. So let me give you an example of how to tailor it to the specific job or scholarship. Example, you mention the company's name or scholarship's focus. That's how you tailor it to the specific job or scholarship. Then you use keywords from the description. Example, data analysis if it's a data role. For the don'ts, you have to avoid making a generic statement without qualification. For example, some people will just write, I'm a hard-working and motivated individual. It's generic. It's been used over and over and over again. So you have to be smart with it. People often write vague, fluffy-like things, and it adds no value and it actually bores the reader. So you have to avoid listing every skill or experience here. You save details for the later sections. You are not actually mandated to start your CV or resume with a professional summary or objective, especially if you don't have a lot of experience or a lot to talk about in that section. So you start with the education section if you don't have any professional experience. That leads us to section number 3, which is about your education or educational background. So what do you include? You have to list degrees in reverse chronological order. When we say reverse chronological order, we mean your most recent educational attainment first. You have to include the institution name, location, degree, graduation date or expected graduation date, GPA, but honestly, we would advise you to put in the GPA if it's above 3.0, Anyways, how to include your relevant coursework, thesis, or academic project. For scholarships, you emphasize academics. For jobs, highlight if it's your strongest section. Example, if you're a recent graduate, you put it there. So on the screen, you can actually see an example. Yeah, so for the example, say this is someone who recently graduated with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, right? So you see how the person's degrees or academic attainments have been arranged. The most current one is first. So as you can see, there's bachelor's in mechanical engineering, first class, C.W.O of 85.89, Ashesi University, Accra, the date is there. Wasi General Science, St. James Seminary, Senior High School, Sunyane, the date is there. Relevant coursework, machine learning, data structure, algorithms. This is probably a program the person attained on their own. And then you can see capstone project developed an AI, blah, 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 blah. You see, so you can decide to ignore the relevant coursework and projects. Okay, that is if you do not have. But if you have, I think this is a time where you can actually show off. Okay, your CV is more or less like your own image, right? That is how the person giving you the scholarship, the organization would actually see you. So in your CV too, you must make sure that you impress. Okay, yeah. So the do's, you have to use bullet point for details like projects, and don't use irrelevant details like minor courses. That's why from the beginning we said you need to make sure that everything you include here is in alignment with whatever you're doing, okay, or whatever you're going to apply for, be it a scholarship, a job, whatnot. Section 4 is about the professional experience or work experience, as you may call it. So, what do you have to include in this? You have to list your jobs, internships in reverse chronological order also. For each, you have to include the job title, company name, location, dates, month or year, and 3 to 5 bullet points of achievements, not just duties. Then you focus on results. So, for example, someone may have been a software engineering intern at a company called Tech Corp Company. And as you can see, the date is on the right side. Okay. Now you can see the bullet points about the person's experience or what they actually did. So you see something like collaborated with a team of 5 to optimize database queries, reducing load time by 40%. This is very brief but detailed. Developed and tested 10 plus features using JavaScript and React, enhancing user interface responsiveness. And the last one, neatly written. Analyze user data to identify trends leading to a 15% increase in engagement metrics. Make sure that you bullet your points and also start with action verbs. For instance, engineered, managed, collaborated, developed, analyzed, da 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 da. And you have to quantify everything. Numbers make it impactful. As you can see from the example we gave, you saw something like something reduced load time by 40%. That is quantification. It makes the reviewer, the analyzer, or the system understand things better. You also have to include volunteer works or freelance if relevant. So make sure that the experiences there are relevant experiences if you do not have any paid job. So, about the don'ts, don't list every job duty like answered phones. Please, 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 please. People often write task lists instead of achievements, making it read like a job description. Okay, so don't do that. You have to avoid gaps without explanation. Okay, so if any, you briefly note in a cover letter, not the CV. So don't include salary, reasons for leaving, or supervisors' names. It's not important. These common errors seem unprofessional or even invite bias. You have to skip irrelevant jobs. We can't say this enough. Just skip the irrelevant jobs. So no retail job for a tech CV and less transferable skills like customer service. Okay? Good. So, how do you write effective bullet points? I think that is something we have to discuss. Now, each bullet point should describe a unique responsibility or achievement. Avoid repeating the same points in different words. Don't do that. It makes your CV very boring to read. So you have to focus on results and impacts, not just tasks. And you consider describing your experiences with these action verbs. Hold up. Now, G.W.O has a long list of action verbs that could help you talk about several things. Let me give you an example. For instance, in the help or in the guideline we have some action verbs if you want to talk about your achievements. For instance, accelerated, accomplished, achieved, activated, attained. So if you want to describe a help or a teaching kind of activity you indulged in, We have some action verbs like advised, clarified, coached, collaborated, consulted, amongst others. So I'm going to leave a link in the description box. Make sure that you request for the G.W.O CV guide. Okay, we're going to give you the action verbs that you need to make your bullet points interesting. So let's talk about section 5 now. Can we? Okay. These are the skills or personal attributes. Very important aspect. Very, very important. What do you include? Now, you make sure that you include a list of 8 to 12 key skills. Include proficiencies like software tools or certifications. Example, Python into bracket advanced, as you can see on the screen, machine learning frameworks, leadership, all these things must be there. Now, make sure that you match the skills to the job or scholarship. So you have to research the requirements of the job or scholarship so that you can tailor your CV towards that direction. You rate proficiency if space allows it. Example, beginner, intermediate, advanced. This is also key. That is if you want to put it in there. And you keep it scannable. You have to use columns if needed. So the don'ts, make sure that you don't list obvious basic skills like Microsoft Word or email. People often pad with these, diluting strong skills. Avoid overclaiming. No, I'm an expert in this, expert in that. Please, it's dishonest and very verifiable. So if you're not an expert, don't include it. Okay. And don't also include personal traits like punctual or honest. These belong in interviews, not here in your CV. No, 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 don't do that. So these common fluff waste space. Okay, so you keep everything brief, concise, detailed, and okay. So let's talk about section number 6 and its leadership or extracurricular activities or volunteering. What do you include? Have to include relevant clubs, leadership roles, or community service. You have to list in reverse order with the dates, the roles and achievements. Ideal for scholarships to show well-roundedness. So if a scholarship highlights on something like leadership skills and all that, this is the time for you to express it and express it well. So now let's talk about the don'ts, okay? Don't list every hobby. We don't want anything like watching movies or casual sports. People often add personal interest, thinking it humanizes the entire CV, but it often seems filler. Okay? It's like you're just filling the blank spaces because you've got nothing to actually put there. Now, you have to make sure that you avoid controversial activities, example, political groups, unless, of course, it is relevant. Don't include dates or roles that are too old. For instance, something you did in a high school club, that's not relevant. Unless, of course, you are out of a lot of things and maybe you want to include one or two. Okay? So, yeah. Now let's talk about section number 7. I told you that your CV is a place where you can do all the bragging you want to brag in your life. So the section 7 talks about the awards and accolades. Okay, it's very important. So you have to include scholarship, grants, recognitions, and dates, and brief descriptions. Example: recipient, National Science Foundation Scholarship 2023. $10,000 award for research excellence, blah blah blah. It should be there. Something to like first place regional hackathon 2022 developed app for sustainable energy tracking. All these things add a lot to your CV. So you have to list these achievements, or should I say these accolades or awards, in reverse order. You explain the significance if it is not obvious. Don't include minor or unrelated awards. So we don't want anything like employee of the month at part-time job, unless of course it's pivotal. Avoid exaggerating. People often inflate, which backfires in verifications. You because I said it's a place where you can talk about yourself, brag, and you think you have to overdo certain things. Don't exaggerate. Okay. Great. Now, don't duplicate from the education section. Mind you, at the education section, it's more or less quite similar to the awards or accolades section. Make sure you do not duplicate. So, section number 8 is where you can introduce your hobbies and interests. This is where you can do that. So, you can list hobbies or interest relevant to the job or scholarship you're applying for. Note, it is not mandatory to add hobbies or interests to your CV or resume, okay? So examples of your hobbies or interests could be research, mentoring, reading, self-development books, those can be part. Section number 9, which is the very last section we're going to talk about, is your references or referees. It's optional, but you could include it. What do you put in this section? It's actually available upon request, okay? So you actually list about 2 to 3 names, titles, and contacts with permission, please, with permission. That's very key. And the don't list without the consent of the person. It's a common privacy breach. And avoid family or friends. So use professionals, unless of course, the professionals you've worked with are actually family or friends. However, whenever they are contacted for verification, they have to act professional, not like you're someone they know from somewhere. No, like a colleague, a boss, or something. That's how they should respond. So we've come to an end. I'm still reminding you of the CV Builder. It's a guide that has all the action verbs you could actually use. But let me just conclude by giving you some final take-home information. So, number 1, remove or minimize unrelated jobs unless they show transferable skills. Example, teamwork, leadership. If you lack experience, it's fine to include unrelated ones temporarily until you gain relevant experience. That's why in life, you should make sure that you're doing a lot of things that are tailored towards what you want to do in future. Because before someone actually gives you the opportunity to do more, you may have had some experience. So say you want to become, someone who works in a tech environment. If you're in the university now, you should be looking at doing some volunteer works and engaging yourself in courses that will add up to the various sections of your CV. Very important. If you're students and you're also finding it hard to actually balance your extracurricular activities with your school work, mind you, G.W.O, we've got you covered. We have a video that talks about your extracurricular activities and how to get the perfect balance. So do check it out. I've pinned it. Please make sure you check it out. So now, early in your career, it's fine to list high school experiences or part-time jobs. That's okay. But as you go, you replace them with college projects, internships, and professional roles. By your 3rd year in university, focus on career-related experiences only. Guys, thank you for your time and also listening to this video till the end. I hope it was helpful. We spoke about 9 sections of your CV. This is very important. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this video with someone who is struggling to write a CV. Now, if you are on our WhatsApp platform, make sure you watch this video because if we put our numbers in the groups and pages, we are not going to answer questions we've already answered in our videos. So make sure you watch our video and in the comment section, leave all your answers. We will reply for at least 48 hours. You receive a reply between 48 hours. If it takes more than 48 hours, just know that we will still reply. We are committed to serving you. Once again, check the description box for the link to request for the guide and also download it. Thank you all, guys. Thank you once again. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.